We all have experienced it. We get into an argument with someone, or we clash with someone. Someone writes us an email, or a coworker doesn't agree with what we do, or vice versa. And then it's really hard to stay cool and calm and to not really become enemies. I want to talk today about how to turn your enemies into friends and how you can actually leverage that negative energy and turn it into positive energy. I've experienced this so many times, especially when you're on YouTube. You get a lot of negativity, and generally in the world and everyday life, when you run a business and you interact and you run payments through and you send out bills, there's always disagreements, and there's people who want to send a lawyer and sue you, all these kind of things. I believe that you can actually counteract that by kindness and by actually trying to put yourself into the shoes of someone else. Now, granted, you should not just let anyone run you over. You should, first of all, wait until your emotions dissipate a little bit. Don't react in the middle of being emotional and being upset. I've had this happen many times to where, someone writes me a hateful email or says I did something wrong and they accuse me of something, and I get all defensive and I'm like, I can't believe them, idiots, right? That is my first reaction. That's normal. However, it's not a good idea to respond in the middle of that. What I do, I take a deep breath, I leave it, and if it's a person talking to me personally, I tell them kindly, okay, I'm acknowledging what you said. Would you mind if I slept over it? And I would love to have an actual conversation. And then, I try to sleep over it. I try to just wait till the emotions have passed, the worst ones, and then really think about it. Now, first of all, I'm thinking, is there a legitimate reason why they have a problem with me or why they accuse me of something? And sometimes there's a grain of truth in everything. So the first thing is really to not be so defensive to think you're perfect, but to actually ask yourself, maybe there is a legitimate reason. Maybe I did make a mistake, and admitting a mistake is always hard, but it is a wise thing to do if you indeed did do something wrong. The next thing is, if you don't agree with that person and you can't admit, it's like, okay, I'm sorry, I did make a mistake. Can we find a solution now how to just solve the problem? If you feel that you've been wrongly accused and this argument is really wrong and their hate on you is just uncalled for, I want you to actually write down the arguments of what makes you right, but also what are the points that they're making that maybe you can see their point of view. You may not agree, but you can see where they're coming from and how they could come to that conclusion. Really, always when you argue, to tell that other person, basically tell them back, okay, am I understanding you right that you are saying that? And then you kind of repeat to them what they are saying. Sometimes we don't understand it. Maybe just the tone, maybe of an email or even a phone call or a message. Maybe the tone isn't exactly what it was supposed to be. And sometimes that is a cause for a lot of just misunderstandings. So repeat back to that person, this is how I understood you. Is that what you are saying? And if they say, well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, then you can just come back to your points that you had written down. It's like, okay, I understand what you're saying, and this is your point, and this is how you're seeing it, but can I just tell you my point of view? And then you list your point of view and all the points that you make to argue for your side and your opinion. So, of course, I know that a lot of times you still disagree. And then any adult, really, I always suggest, if anybody wants to sue me for anything, the first thing I suggest is, can we talk about it? And one thing that I've noticed is that kindness goes a long way. Smiling at someone and telling them, okay, this is not about you as a person, and I hope it's not about me as a person. I hope it's just about something we do. I totally understand, and we might not agree, but that doesn't mean I hate you or you hate me. And basically, I always see every human being as someone who has this whole life and a story too, and problems, hopes, and dreams. And yes, I know that some people, the thing is, someone who has a hard time in life, it seems they get really hateful a lot of times. It's like misery loves company, and that's very true. So someone who's very bitter, they don't have a hard time being mean to others and thinking, I don't know, they come from a point of, well, I'm miserable, the world isn't fair, so why should I be fair? So blank you, right? So, but if you come across someone like that, it is the best thing to really distance yourself, get the emotions, cut it off, because when you just keep on feeding the emotions by acting and reacting back and forth and hating on each other, it just gets worse and worse, and you just climaxing into something that doesn't end well usually. So then the best thing is really to separate, and if someone does want to sue you and make a lawsuit, of course you will have to get a lawyer if you feel you're right and they're not. Really, before you do that, try anything and everything to really connect on a human level. Everyone is a human being, and basically every single human being wants just to have a good life. Everyone wants to be happy and wishes basically for a lot of the same things. Just some people react to things differently than others, and some people react in a very bitter and mean way, while some people just take things and they just learn from it and they just continue life and say like, well, this sucked. Yeah, I still enjoy life. Some others just can't do that. I have experienced this over and over again. A lot of times when people are stressed, they do things they wouldn't normally do when they're relaxed. So keep that in mind. You just don't know what's going on in that other person's life, so don't assume. I've learned that I can't ever assume anything. It's really, you just don't know the story, you don't know what's going on. Who knows? Someone in their family may have just passed away. They may have just had surgery a few weeks ago and are still in pain. You just don't know why someone acts the way they do. And I urge you to come from a place of love and kindness. And if that other person persists being really, truly mean to you, distance yourself to where the emotions are just, don't fan the flame. Cut it off. And sometimes it is better to just not be in contact with someone if they're poisonous, if they pull you down consistently. Do distance yourself, because it's not healthy for you or for that other person if you just keep hating on each other. So yes, I know I don't have all the wisdom in the world, but this is just something that from my experience has really worked on many times in my life. Just showing some kindness when someone's stressed, for example, standing in line at the register and just acknowledging for a second that person who's working there at the register and has had a long day and they're all stressed and everybody wants to be faster. I just acknowledge like, oh, having a rough day today, aren't you? And then they smile and they're so thankful for someone seeing them as a human being and as a person and not just as this thing that's supposed to function. It really does go a long way. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Share it with some friends, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.